Last night, your soulmate broke down before friends and finally spoke the truth. Don't scroll, pause right here and listen to this, because the moment you see these words is not an accident, and this message is for you in a way your heart needs this right now, even if you don't fully understand why yet. Something happened while you were asleep, while you were busy trying to heal, trying to stay strong, trying to convince yourself that silence meant distance. Stay till the end, because the universe does not reveal moments like this unless they matter. Last night was not ordinary. It was the kind of night where walls crack, where masks fall, where someone who has been holding everything together finally can't anymore. Your soulmate reached an emotional breaking point, not alone, not in the dark, but in front of people they trusted, and when that happens, truth comes out without filters. Listen to this carefully. This wasn't planned. This wasn't dramatic storytelling. This was exhaustion meeting honesty. For a long time, they've been pretending they were fine, pretending they were over it, pretending that walking away was easier than facing what they felt. But feelings buried don't disappear, they ferment. And last night, the pressure became too much. Words slipped. Emotions spilled. Your name may have been spoken, or maybe it was described without being named, but the truth was finally said out loud. This message is for you because soul connections don't end quietly, they echo. You may have felt it already. A sudden heaviness in your chest. A dream that felt too real. Waking up emotional without knowing why. That wasn't random. That was resonance. Don't scroll, because what was spoken last night changed something energetically between you. When truth is spoken in front of witnesses, it shifts timelines. It breaks denial. It collapses illusions. Listen to this moment closely. They admitted things they never admitted to you. They confessed regret, confusion, longing, fear. Not the polished version. The raw one. The one pride kept locked away. Friends heard what you were never allowed to hear, because when someone is afraid of vulnerability with the person who matters most, they sometimes confess to everyone else first. Your heart needs this reminder right now. Silence does not mean indifference. Sometimes it means fear of saying too much to the wrong person at the wrong time. Angel numbers may have started appearing since then, maybe even before you saw this message. 11:11 when truth aligns. 2:22 when emotional balance is being restored. 5:55 when something behind the scenes is shifting fast. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations that something hidden has moved into the open. Listen to this. When your soulmate broke down, it wasn't because they suddenly became weak. It was because pretending became impossible. They talked about the connection, about what they lost, about how they tried to replace depth with distraction. They admitted they thought time would erase feelings. It didn't. They admitted they thought staying silent would protect them. It didn't. And whether or not they've reached out to you yet, the universe wants you to know that acknowledgement has already happened on a soul level. That's why you might feel a strange calm mixed with emotion, like something has been released even though nothing has been said to you directly. Stay with me here, because this part matters. You are not being told this so you can run back, chase, or reopen wounds. You are being told this so you understand your power. You didn't force this truth out of them. You didn't beg. You didn't manipulate. You aligned. And alignment always draws truth into the light. This message is for you because you spent so long wondering if you imagined the connection, if you loved alone, if you mattered the way they mattered to you. Last night answered that question without you having to ask. Don't scroll away from this knowing. What was spoken cannot be unspoken. Once someone admits truth out loud, especially in front of others, something inside them changes permanently. Whether that leads to a conversation, an apology, or quiet closure depends on their courage next. But either way, you are no longer carrying unanswered questions alone. Listen to this carefully. The universe is not asking you to wait in pain. It's asking you to stay grounded. If they are meant to come back, it will be from humility, not confusion. From honesty, not excuses. And if they don't, this confession still releases you from self-doubt. Your heart needs this right now because you've been carrying the weight of not knowing. Not knowing hurts more than truth. And truth, even when delayed, always heals something. Stay till the end, because destiny is still active. Last night was a turning point, not necessarily for reunion, but for clarity. Something ended. Something shifted. Something healed. And something new quietly began. You don't need to rush the process. You don't need to reach out. You don't need to prove anything. The universe is already handling the part that was never yours to carry. If this message resonated, if your chest feels heavy but relieved at the same time, acknowledge it. Stay connected, stay aligned, and subscribe in this same calm, grounded flow, because the universe is still speaking to you, and you don't want to miss what it reveals next. Don't scroll. Stay right here with me, because what unfolds after a moment like that is just as important as the breakdown itself, and listen to this carefully because this message is for you and your heart needs this right now even if you're trying to stay detached and composed. After truth is spoken out loud, especially in front of witnesses, something irreversible happens inside a person. The pretending becomes impossible to return to. The mask no longer fits. And your soulmate is sitting in that space right now, whether you can see it or not. Stay till the end, because this part explains why you may be feeling a strange mix of calm, emotion, and clarity all at once. When they broke down, it wasn't just about releasing feelings, it was about confronting reality. Reality has weight. Once it lands, it rearranges priorities, memories, and self-perception. They're replaying what they said, not with embarrassment, but with shock at their own honesty. And in that replay, you keep appearing. Not as an idea, not as nostalgia, but as truth. Listen to this moment closely. They're realizing that the story they told themselves about being fine, about moving on, about doing the right thing, no longer holds up. Friends saw through it. They heard the cracks. And when others see what someone has been hiding, accountability quietly begins. This message is for you because you're connected to this shift energetically. You may notice waves of emotion that aren't rooted in your own thoughts, moments where your heart feels full for no clear reason, or a sudden release of tension you didn't know you were holding. That's not imagination. That's resonance settling after truth is spoken. Don't scroll, because timing matters here. After a confession like that, the universe creates a pause, not to torture anyone, but to allow integration. They're being asked to sit with what they admitted instead of running from it. They're being asked to see themselves clearly, without the comfort of denial. And that's uncomfortable. Listen to this carefully. Growth never begins with comfort, it begins with honesty. Your soulmate is standing at the edge of a decision, not necessarily about reaching out yet, but about who they're willing to be moving forward. Will they retreat back into silence, or will they rise into accountability? That choice is forming right now. Your heart needs this reminder right now. You are not responsible for their next step. You never were. You were responsible only for your alignment, and that alignment is what triggered this moment. Angel numbers may continue to appear during this phase, but notice how they show up when you're calm, not anxious. 444 when you're grounded. 1111 when you're present. 555 when you sense change without fear. These are confirmations that the universe is stabilizing you while something else recalibrates on their side. Listen to this moment. Friends who heard the truth are now mirrors they can't escape. Conversations may continue without you in the room, and each retelling strips away denial. That's how awareness deepens. That's how pride softens. And whether or not you ever hear these words directly, the energy of acknowledgement has already reached you. That's why you may feel less desperate for answers. Truth has a way of quieting the mind. Don't scroll away from this knowing. This isn't about you waiting by the phone. It's about you understanding that something you once questioned has been confirmed without your involvement. Confirmation doesn't always come in the form we expect. Sometimes it comes through energetic release rather than direct communication. Listen to this carefully. If they do reach out, it won't be impulsive. It will be slower, heavier, more deliberate, because once truth is spoken, careless words are no longer possible. And if they don't reach out, that doesn't mean the moment was meaningless. It means the confession did what it needed to do without requiring your participation. Your heart needs this right now because you've been carrying uncertainty for too long. Uncertainty drains. Clarity restores. And clarity has already begun. Stay till the end, because this is the deeper revelation. You were never meant to chase closure. Closure happens when the soul receives truth, not when the mouth delivers it. And your soul has received something important. That's why you may feel steadier, less reactive, more rooted in yourself. Don't scroll, because the universe wants you to understand this clearly. Last night was not about bringing you back into pain. It was about releasing both of you from a lie that silence was protecting anyone. Silence was protecting fear. Truth dissolved it. And now a new energetic chapter has opened, one where you no longer need to doubt what you meant or what you shared. Listen to this moment closely. You don't need to interpret signs obsessively or analyze every feeling. What's meant to be communicated will arrive naturally, without forcing. And what's not meant to continue will fade without chaos. That's how aligned timelines work. Your heart needs this reminder right now: you are safe in not knowing the next step yet. Not knowing doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something is integrating. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay open without chasing. Because after truth is spoken, the universe always responds. And it responds in ways that protect the heart that chose alignment over control. Don't scroll, stay right here with me, because what happens after truth is spoken is rarely loud on the outside but incredibly intense on the inside, and listen to this carefully because this message is for you and your heart needs this right now even if you're trying to stay neutral and strong. After that breakdown, after those words escaped their mouth in front of people who weren't you, a strange quiet settled in, and that quiet is where everything starts to change. This is the phase where the soul can no longer hide behind explanations or excuses, because once truth is voiced, the inner world begins reorganizing itself whether the person is ready or not. Your soulmate is in that space now, sitting with the weight of what they admitted, replaying not just what they said but why they said it, and more importantly, why they avoided saying it to you. Stay till the end, because this is where understanding deepens in a way that finally brings peace. They're realizing that the hardest part wasn't losing you, it was living with themselves after choosing silence over honesty. That realization doesn't come all at once, it arrives in waves, in moments of stillness, in late-night thoughts when distractions stop working. Listen to this moment closely. You may feel sudden emotional shifts that don't seem connected to anything happening in your day. A memory might surface without pain. A song might hit differently. You might feel calm where you once felt longing. That's not random. That's the energetic echo of acknowledgement settling into the connection. Your heart needs this reminder right now. When truth is spoken, even indirectly, the soul on the other end feels it. Don't scroll away from this knowing. The universe doesn't require direct communication for healing to begin. Healing starts when denial ends. Angel numbers may be appearing more subtly now, not as urgent signals, but as quiet confirmations. For 44 when you feel grounded in yourself. 222 when emotional balance replaces confusion. 1111 when you catch yourself breathing easier without realizing why. These are signs that something unresolved has begun to resolve. Listen to this carefully. Your soulmate is facing an internal mirror they can't turn away from anymore. Friends who heard the truth may ask follow-up questions. They may reflect back what was said. And each time, the truth becomes more solid, more undeniable. That's how awareness locks in. This message is for you because you don't need to witness this process for it to matter. Your role was never to force awareness, it was to align with yourself. And alignment creates pressure where misalignment once lived comfortably. Don't scroll, because timing is everything here. This phase is not about action yet. It's about integration. Integration is uncomfortable because it requires someone to sit with regret without rushing to fix it. To sit with love without using it to escape accountability. To sit with loss without rewriting the story to avoid pain. Your soulmate is being asked to do that inner work now. Whether they rise to it or resist it will determine what happens next, but either way, something irreversible has already occurred. Listen to this moment. You may notice you're no longer fantasizing about what you'd say if they reached out. You're no longer rehearsing conversations. You're more present in your own life. That's not because you stopped caring. It's because certainty has replaced doubt. Certainty doesn't always mean reunion. Sometimes it means knowing your feelings were real, your intuition was right, and your love was not imagined. Your heart needs this right now because self-doubt has been one of the heaviest burdens you carried. And that burden is lifting. Don't scroll away from this truth. After a confession like that, the universe does not rush outcomes. It allows space for character to reveal itself. Words spoken in vulnerability demand follow-through, or they become lessons that finalize endings. Either path serves alignment. Listen to this carefully. If your soulmate chooses to step forward, it will not be with mixed signals or casual check-ins. It will be slower, more intentional, because once someone admits truth publicly, they can no longer pretend privately. And if they don't step forward, that silence will no longer confuse you. It will make sense. Because you'll know the truth existed, even if the courage to act on it didn't. Stay with me here, because this is the emotional revelation most people miss. Closure does not require contact. Closure requires truth. And truth has already been released into the world. That's why your body feels different. Your breathing feels steadier. Your thoughts feel less obsessive. That's healing in motion. Don't scroll, because this matters. You were never meant to chase a confession. You were meant to receive confirmation in the way that protected you most. And sometimes protection looks like distance while clarity arrives quietly. Listen to this moment closely. The universe is not asking you to wait, hope, or return to old patterns. It's asking you to remain present, grounded, and open without attachment to outcome. What's meant to come toward you will do so without forcing. What's meant to fade will do so without drama. Your heart needs this reminder right now because peace is not the absence of emotion, it's the absence of confusion. And confusion is ending. Stay till the end of this phase, because after truth is spoken, only two things remain possible: alignment or release. Both are forms of love when guided by honesty. And either way, you are no longer in the dark. The universe has turned the light on, gently, intentionally, and right on time. Don't scroll, stay right here with me, because what unfolds after truth settles is often the most revealing phase of all, and listen to this carefully because this message is for you and your heart needs this right now even if you're trying to stay composed and grounded. After the confession, after the tears, after the words that finally escaped, something subtle but powerful began to rearrange itself, not just inside them, but inside you too. This is the part people rarely talk about, the quiet aftermath where emotions no longer scream but truth hums steadily in the background. You may have noticed that your thoughts feel clearer, your reactions slower, your heart less frantic. That's not you shutting down. That's you integrating what you already knew. When someone finally speaks the truth out loud, especially in front of others, the soul can no longer pretend it didn't exist. And once the soul stops pretending, everything changes. Listen to this moment closely. Your soulmate is now sitting with the realization that what they avoided saying to you was heavy enough to spill out in front of friends. That realization carries its own kind of weight. It brings questions they can't ignore anymore. Why was it easier to speak to others than to the person who mattered most? Why did fear feel safer than honesty? Why did silence feel like protection when it was actually postponement? These questions don't torment, they clarify. And clarity, even when it's uncomfortable, is a form of awakening. Your heart needs this reminder right now because you've spent so long wondering if you were asking for too much, feeling too deeply, or imagining the bond. That wondering is dissolving. Not because someone reassured you directly, but because truth has found its way into the open. Don't scroll away from this knowing. When truth is spoken, it creates a ripple effect. Friends who heard it may reflect it back. Memories resurface with new meaning. Old excuses lose their power. And the person who spoke it cannot unknow what they revealed. This is the stage where character begins to show itself, not in grand gestures, but in how someone lives with what they admitted. Listen to this carefully. You are not required to monitor this process or wait for a specific outcome. Your role in this chapter is not action, it's presence. Presence with yourself. Presence with your healing. Presence with the calm that's slowly replacing confusion. Angel numbers may still appear now, but notice how they feel different. For 44 when you feel steady in your body. 222 when emotional balance feels natural instead of forced. 1111 when you catch yourself breathing deeper without trying. These are not signs urging you to do something. They're confirmations that something has already shifted. This message is for you because you're learning that closure doesn't always come through conversation. Sometimes it comes through energetic resolution, when your soul finally receives the validation it needed without having to ask. Stay with me here, because this is where the emotional power shifts back into your hands. You may notice you're no longer replaying the past with the same intensity. You're not rewriting scenarios or imagining different endings. You're starting to accept what was without needing to justify it. That acceptance is not resignation. It's release. Release of self-doubt. Release of unanswered questions. Release of the feeling that you had to carry the truth alone. Don't scroll, because this matters. After a moment like that confession, the universe watches what happens next, not to judge, but to realign. Will the person who spoke the truth honor it with action? Or will they retreat into old patterns now that the pressure has been released? Either way, the outcome no longer defines you. That's the shift. You are no longer waiting to see what they'll do to decide how you feel. You already feel steadier. You already feel clearer. And that clarity is protective. Listen to this moment. If they choose to move forward with honesty, it will feel different than before. There will be less urgency and more intention. Less confusion and more accountability. You won't feel pulled off center. You'll feel grounded enough to listen without losing yourself. And if they don't move forward, that absence will no longer haunt you with questions. It will simply confirm what was already revealed. Your heart needs this right now because ambiguity has been one of the hardest things you've carried. Ambiguity drains energy. Truth restores it. And truth, even when delayed, has a way of arriving exactly when the heart is strong enough to hold it. Don't scroll away from this understanding. You were never meant to chase acknowledgement. You were meant to align with yourself until acknowledgement became unavoidable. That's what happened. And now the universe is asking you to rest in that alignment. Rest doesn't mean stopping your life. It means trusting that what needed to surface has surfaced. Listen to this carefully. The reason this phase feels quieter is because the lesson is no longer about pain, it's about peace. Peace doesn't announce itself loudly. It settles in gently, like a sigh after holding your breath for too long. You may still feel moments of emotion, waves that come and go, but they don't destabilize you anymore. That's healing in real time. Angel numbers may continue to show up as gentle reassurance, not as signs of urgency. They're reminders that you're supported, grounded, and not alone in this transition. Stay till the end of this understanding, because here's the deeper truth. You didn't lose your power when you loved deeply. You gained wisdom. And wisdom is what allows love to meet you differently next time. Whether that next chapter includes them or not is secondary now. What matters is that you are no longer in the dark. You are no longer questioning your intuition. You are no longer carrying the weight of silence by yourself. Don't scroll, because this is the emotional revelation that closes the loop. When truth is finally spoken, it doesn't always lead to reunion, but it always leads to resolution. Resolution inside you. Resolution in how you remember the connection. Resolution in how you move forward. And that resolution is a gift. Listen to this moment closely. The universe doesn't rush endings or beginnings after a moment like this. It allows space. Space for character to show itself. Space for healing to deepen. Space for you to step fully back into yourself. And in that space, something beautiful happens. You realize you're okay. More than okay. You're grounded. You're clear. You're ready for whatever comes next without fear. Your heart needs this reminder right now because the hardest part wasn't the waiting, it was the not knowing. And now, knowing has arrived in the only way it could without breaking you. Stay present. Stay gentle with yourself. Stay open without attachment. Because after truth is spoken, the universe always responds in alignment. And alignment, even when it comes quietly, always leads you back to yourself. Don't scroll, stay right here with me, because this is the phase where truth stops echoing and starts settling. And listen to this carefully because this message is for you and your heart needs this right now even if you're telling yourself you've already made peace with everything. After the tears were shed and the words were spoken, something deeper began, something quieter, heavier, and far more honest. This is the stretch where the noise fades and meaning takes over. You might have noticed a strange calm moving through you, not empty, not numb, but steady, like your breath finally found a rhythm it didn't have before. That calm isn't indifference. It's confirmation. Stay till the end, because this is where the universe explains why that moment mattered so much more than it seemed. When someone speaks the truth in front of others, especially after avoiding it for so long, they don't just confess feelings, they expose patterns. They expose fear. They expose the distance between who they've been and who they know they're meant to be. Your soulmate is now living inside that exposure. They are replaying not just the words they said, but the realization that the truth existed long before last night and they chose silence anyway. That realization doesn't accuse, it instructs. It teaches them where they abandoned themselves, where they avoided growth, where they mistook comfort for safety. Listen to this moment closely. You are not meant to carry that weight with them. Your role in this chapter is not to rescue, reassure, or reopen wounds. Your role is to witness your own healing. The universe has been slowly lifting the fog around your heart so you can finally see how much strength you built in the waiting. You stayed kind when you could have hardened. You stayed open when you could have closed. You stayed honest with yourself even when answers didn't come. That matters. Your heart needs this reminder right now because you may still be minimizing what you endured, telling yourself others have had it worse, that time heals everything. Time doesn't heal by itself. Awareness heals. And awareness arrived the moment truth was spoken. Don't scroll away from this knowing. You might feel moments where you suddenly stop wondering what they're doing or thinking. You might catch yourself enjoying your day without that low hum of uncertainty underneath it. That's not you forgetting. That's you releasing the need to know. Release doesn't happen through force, it happens when the nervous system finally understands it's safe to let go. Angel numbers may appear during this phase like gentle nods rather than urgent signs: 444 when you're grounded in your body, 222 when balance feels natural, 1111 when you notice your thoughts are quieter than they used to be. These aren't telling you to act. They're telling you that something has already shifted. Listen to this carefully. The universe does not bring confessions to stir chaos, it brings them to restore balance. Balance means you no longer carry unanswered questions alone. Balance means the weight of silence has been redistributed. Balance means you don't have to wonder if you imagined the connection. You didn't. And knowing that frees a part of you that's been tense for far too long. Stay with me here, because this is where self-trust deepens. You're beginning to trust your perceptions again. You're no longer second-guessing your intuition or replaying moments to see if you misread them. You're accepting that what you felt was real, even if it couldn't stay. Acceptance doesn't erase love, it clarifies it. And clarity is soothing. Don't scroll, because this matters. After truth is spoken, the universe watches not to judge but to align. It aligns timelines, priorities, and inner landscapes. On their side, there is integration happening, slow, uncomfortable, necessary. On your side, there is grounding happening, steady, reassuring, protective. You are not on hold. You are not waiting. You are arriving back into yourself. Listen to this moment closely. If contact happens, it will feel different. You won't feel the rush to explain or fix. You won't feel the spike of anxiety. You'll feel centered enough to hear what's said without losing your footing. And if contact doesn't happen, you won't spiral into what-ifs. You'll understand that some truths are meant to free you, not pull you back. Your heart needs this right now because uncertainty has been one of the heaviest loads you carried. Uncertainty eats energy. Truth restores it. And restoration is happening quietly. Don't scroll away from this truth. You were never meant to beg for acknowledgement. You were meant to align so acknowledgement could surface naturally. That alignment required patience, humility, and trust in yourself. You did that. And now the universe is asking you to rest in it. Rest doesn't mean disengagement, it means letting the process work without interference. Listen to this carefully. You are allowed to feel relief without guilt. You are allowed to feel lighter without minimizing the past. You are allowed to move forward without dragging yesterday behind you. That permission is part of healing. Angel numbers may continue to appear as reassurance that you're supported while you integrate this new steadiness. They're not pushing you anywhere. They're anchoring you where you are. Stay till the end of this understanding, because here is the emotional revelation that seals it. The hardest part wasn't loving. The hardest part was carrying the truth alone. And now you don't have to. Truth has been spoken into the world. Witnesses exist. Denial has cracked. That doesn't guarantee a specific outcome, but it guarantees you are no longer unseen. And being seen, even indirectly, changes how the heart holds memory. Listen to this moment. You're not closing a door with bitterness, you're opening a window to peace. Peace doesn't erase the past, it places it where it belongs. And where it belongs is behind you, informing you, not defining you. Don't scroll, because this is the phase where gratitude quietly replaces grief. Gratitude for what you learned. Gratitude for what you survived. Gratitude for the strength you didn't know you had until you needed it. The universe didn't orchestrate that moment to pull you back into pain. It orchestrated it to release you from doubt. Stay present with this calm. Let it settle into your body. Because after truth is spoken, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all, nothing but breathe, trust, and allow alignment to continue doing what it does best, bringing you home to yourself. Don't scroll, stay right here with me, because this is the moment where everything finally lands, not with noise, not with chaos, but with a deep, steady knowing. And listen to this carefully, because this message is for you and your heart needs this right now, even if you feel like you've already made it through the hardest part. What happened that night was not just an emotional release for them, it was a spiritual turning point for you. You may not have seen it, you may not have heard the words directly, but your soul felt the shift, because soul connections don't require proximity to communicate truth. They require alignment. And alignment has been forming inside you quietly, patiently, step by step, long before that confession ever happened. Stay till the end, because this is where the universe closes the circle in a way that finally gives you peace. You are no longer standing in the question of, did I matter? That question has dissolved. What remains now is understanding. Understanding that the love you felt was real, the bond was real, and the impact you had was real, even if the outcome wasn't what you once imagined. Listen to this moment closely. When someone finally breaks down and speaks the truth in front of others, it's not because they suddenly want attention. It's because the weight of avoidance became heavier than the fear of being exposed. That weight doesn't vanish the next day. It lingers. It teaches. It humbles. And right now, your soulmate is sitting with that humility, whether they show it or not. But here's what your heart needs to hear right now: their internal reckoning does not require your participation anymore. You already did your part. You loved honestly. You waited without forcing. You questioned yourself instead of blaming. You carried silence longer than you should have. And that chapter is complete. Don't scroll away from this knowing. Completion doesn't always look like a conversation or an apology. Sometimes it looks like your nervous system finally relaxing, like your chest feeling lighter, like your thoughts no longer chasing answers in circles. That's not indifference. That's integration. You integrated the lesson. You integrated the truth. And once integration happens, the universe shifts you out of waiting mode and into receiving mode. Listen to this carefully. Receiving does not mean receiving them. It means receiving clarity, peace, self-trust, and alignment. If they are meant to re-enter your life, it will be from a place of accountability and emotional maturity that feels unmistakably different. There will be no guessing, no decoding, no emotional whiplash. You will feel steady enough to decide, not react. And if they are not meant to return, you will not feel abandoned by that outcome. You will feel protected. That is the shock people don't talk about. Sometimes the greatest relief comes not from reunion, but from resolution. Your heart needs this reminder right now because you've been conditioned to think healing must hurt forever. It doesn't. Healing hurts until truth is accepted. And truth has been accepted now. Angel numbers may still appear, but notice how they feel less urgent and more affirming. For 44 when you feel safe within yourself. 1111 when you imagine a future without fear. 222 when emotional balance feels natural instead of forced. These are not signs pushing you backward or forward. They are confirmations that you are exactly where you need to be. Stay with me here, because this is the emotional revelation that seals the chapter. You were never meant to stay in a dynamic where love had to be proven through endurance. You were never meant to be the one holding the connection together through patience alone. Love that is aligned meets you in effort, clarity, and presence. And now that you know that in your body, not just your mind, you will never unknow it. Don't scroll, because this matters. The universe did not orchestrate that moment of truth to reopen wounds. It orchestrated it to release you from doubt. Doubt about your intuition. Doubt about your worth. Doubt about whether you imagined the depth. You didn't. And knowing that allows your heart to stand taller, calmer, and more open than before. Listen to this moment closely. You may notice now that you are more selective with your energy, not because you're guarded, but because you're grounded. You no longer chase emotional intensity. You recognize peace as a form of love. You no longer confuse longing with destiny. You recognize mutual presence as alignment. That shift is everything. And it will shape every connection you experience from here on. Stay till the end, because this is where destiny reclaims you. Destiny is not about who stays or who leaves. Destiny is about who you become through the experience. And you became someone who trusts themselves deeply. Someone who can sit in uncertainty without abandoning their worth. Someone who can love without losing themselves. That transformation is priceless. Don't scroll away from this truth. Whatever comes next in your life will meet a version of you that is clearer, steadier, and far more aligned than the one who entered that connection. And that means what comes next will feel different too. It will not feel like suspense. It will not feel like waiting. It will feel like recognition followed by action. Listen to this carefully. The universe is not done rewarding your patience, but the reward is not what you once thought. The reward is peace. The reward is self-trust. The reward is the ability to walk away from confusion without guilt and walk toward clarity without fear. And from that place, love arrives differently. It doesn't shake your foundation. It builds on it. Stay present with this feeling. Let it anchor into your body. Because you are no longer the person who wonders what last night meant. You are the person who understands exactly what it released. And what it released was you.